Hey, what is up my good people? It has been a while since my last upload, but I am back with some good and bad news. Good news are, I have some fresh battles backed up, so I should be good on content for a couple of weeks. I'm also slowly getting into 6th gen PU. I have in fact 2 PU battles backed up already, but as soon as Mark gets back into battling, I think that's when we're gonna see some PU action going on this channel. The bad news is, I might not be able to upload for the next month or so, because another finals are coming up at university and I need to put Pokemon aside and concentrate on the exams. Sorry guys, that's how it has to be. Anyways, today I'm bringing you pretty cool battle against MARZ, and when he said my team is NU/RU, I thought that I'm gonna see something that used to be Black 2 and White 2 UU team, because in X and Y, most of the old school pokes went down one tier. That is why I have brought the most RU-ish looking team I got, with the exception of Florges of course, and decided to replace Barbercle with Quagsire, Felstinger, Beedrill, because that guy catches almost everyone off guard and kicks ass when brought in the right time. However, it still turned out that I got the tiers all wrong, since my opponent's team really is nothing other than Black 2 and White 2 NU and a Medicham, but it is me battling, so let's not make assumptions too early and see how it went down. I lead off with Banette, because my ambitious plan involves not being affected by Smeargle's Spore thanks to Insomnia, disabling it, bringing my Bravery, breaking his Surge with U-turn and finishing with Beedrill's Felstinger for an easy +2 boost. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Oh. Well, it was worth a try. I go to Florges to sponge whatever he wants to go for, and the amount done by Volt Switch tells me right away that he specs, so Bravery as well as Roserade have nothing to worry about against this thing. He goes right back to Smeargle, and what I should have done right there is just go for a Moonblast for an easy to hit KO. But no, I am slightly paranoid about him carrying Spore, so I go back to Banette in an attempt to implement my original plan. He however just sets up a Stealth Rock on my switch and then one layer of spikes before I disable it, so I am thinking surely he has to switch out, he has no business staying in there. So I go for a Shadow Sneak for a bit of damage on whatever he goes to, but it turns out that he is all about them entry hazards, Stealth Rock, Spikes and now a Sticky Web. I mean, how often you get to face imbeciles like me that let a Smeargle live for longer than 2 turns? And the only reason I didn't go immediately to Roserade is because I have a Sand Slash, and despite that he predicts my obvious switch and goes to Quagsire, I know that I have to spin, even if that means taking a Scald to the face, but he just decides to go for a Toxic, so we are 7 turns into the battle and we made barely any progress. So I decided to give it some momentum by just throwing in a Roserade on his obvious Scald, which possesses a direct threat to just about everything on his team. I go for a Sleep Powder as he brings his Rotom and follow it up with HP Fire, knowing that with Technician and Life Orb boost it's almost certainly gonna be a one-hit KO. He switches to Medicham though, and it took me a good while to make the next move, but I figured that this is the only possible Mega on his team, and since he has a Sticky Web user, it probably isn't Scarfed. Turns out I'm right about that second part, but we never find out if this thing was actually a Mega, because he dies to a Sludge Bomb without doing anything. With Rotom asleep, he really has nothing that would enjoy taking a Magical Leaf, but I don't think that any of my attacks are gonna kill his Soak, and I certainly want to have my Roserade around as long as possible, so I switch back to Sand Slash to take a hit and wear him down with an Earthquake. Then I make another bad play, and instead of going right back to Roserade, which could pretty much win me a game from there, I set up my Stealth Rocks, giving him a free switch to Seismitoad, which turns out to be a Rain Dance Sweeper. So in a matter of 1 turn, I went from having the game almost in the bag to choosing a Death Fodders for this thing. I only realized that I'm in trouble after he simply annihilates my Florges with a Life Orb Earthquake, and the fact that it straight out killed me makes me think that he is purely physical attacker. With that in mind, I go to Banette, pretty sure that I can leave a Waterfall, disable it and go to Bravery without a worry. He however decides to switch out and goes back to Rotom, but after Stealth Rock damage, Shadow Sneak is a 2-hit KO. Just barely, but nonetheless. At this point, I decide that getting rid of his Quagsire is worth sacrificing Banette, so my plan is to keep going for a Shadow Sneak until he brings me down low enough for any of his attacks to finish me off, and then go for a Destiny Bond. He either sees my intentions or realizes that I have nothing to touch his Smeargle, so he eventually switches to it. Seeing that, I switch to Beedrill, thinking that if he tries to set up hazards again, I might get a chance for a first stinger kill, but I quickly realized that it was just what he wanted me to do and I took a bite. So now he says Method gets to set up another free rain dance, and once again I need to let something die. I decide to death fodder my Sunslash, but even the Hags gods themselves warn me that this is a bad idea by making my opponent miss 2 Hydro Pumps in a row, allowing me to get off some free damage with an Earthquake. Unfortunately, none of that makes me change my mind. He doesn't miss a third one and I lose my physical wall, which is gonna ultimately decide about the battle outcome. At this amount of health, he says Method won't be able to leave the next Stealth Rock switch in, so he lets me revenge kill him with a Shadow Sneak. Now back comes Quagsire, and because he is nearly at full health, I know that he is most likely just gonna try to take me out with an Earthquake, so I go for a Destiny Bond and we end up with a double down. So now I have a Scarfed Bravery at full health, and against the Smeargle and the Soak, it only begs the question, what could possibly go wrong? Deja vu? Let's find out, shall we? Without the Focus Sash, Bravebird easily takes out his Smeargle, but what's that? His Soak is scarfed too? Adamant Scarf? He has to miss eventually, right? No?
You've had your chance, you idiot. Now you're gonna die.
And that was the end of that. So this is why I said let's not make any assumptions. I might have an advantage when it comes to tiers, but a few bad plays is all it took to let the victory slip out of hands. No matter though, it was still a good battle. Hope you all enjoyed it too. If so, don't forget to leave a like or comment, and as always, I see you all next time.